It is time for social studies, and we are starting our chapter 7, comparing the colonies. Last chapter, you learned about the first 3. There are actually 13. So this chapter, we're going to go into more detail about it and what it was like when everything first started. So you need your textbook, and we're opened up to page 67. Page 67. You're also going to need your chapter 7 packet. And you need either colored pencils or crayons, red, orange, and blue. And this is all listed in the Schoology assignments as well. So if you didn't catch everything I just said, it's all written out for you as well. Okay, hopefully you have everything you need. Oh, you need a pencil too. I feel like that's just a given, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna read section 7.1 and 7.2 together. So I'll read and you can follow along in your book. And our goal today is to complete the front page of this packet because there are 3 different regions that the colonies are set up into, and I want you to be able to identify those regions. So without further ado, chapter 7, comparing the colonies. Read along with me. Push my bag of markers out of the way. Okay. In chapter 6, you read about the first English colonies in America. In this chapter, you will learn about the other colonies that were established and part of the New World that later became the United States. By the mid-1700s, there were 13 British colonies in America. Most of them were located along the Atlantic coastline. They can be divided into 3 large areas, or colonial regions. And those 3 regions are New England, Middle, and Southern colonies. The colonies were different in important ways. They were founded for different reasons. The climate and geography of each was different. The economy of each colony varied. And the way the government was run in the colonies differed. Some colonial governments were more democratic than others. Look at the map and the matrix below. The map shows the 3 colonial regions. As you read this chapter, use the map and matrix to remember information about the colonial regions. And we'll be doing that in our packet. So these words here, you've already done your vocabulary, so I'm hoping that they are making sense. And a lot of these things we have talked about in our last chapter. So go ahead and turn the page. No coloring just yet. It is fun to know we get to color today, though. This map's going to help us a lot when we go to color. Okay, so section 7.2, just this page. That's what we're going to read together. The 3 colonial regions in America each had a different climate and geography. In addition, people settled these regions for different reasons. As a result, each region developed its own opportunities and ways of life. So if you kind of think back to our last chapter, when we say they started for different reasons, remember that Plymouth started because they were searching for religious freedom. But in Jamestown, they were searching for gold and other natural riches. So that's what this is saying when they're saying it developed for different reasons. The New England region included the colonies of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. So this is something that I want us to write down right now. So get your packet in front of you. And along here, at the very bottom, it says colonies in the region. And then it says New England colonies. We'll color those in later, but they just gave us the New England colonies. And those colonies are Massachusetts. So I want you to write this with me, please. Rhode Island. Connecticut. Did you say I cut? I did. And New Hampshire. Okay, if you need time to get caught up, go ahead and press pause right now and finish writing those. And we're gonna continue reading. So we've got that written. When we get the middle, we'll go back to our packet. But for now, let's go back to where we were. Okay, so a little bit about this region. It had rocky soil, plentiful forests, and easy access to the sea. Consequently, New England colonists built an economy that was based on small farms, lumbering, fishing, shipbuilding, and trade. So economy, that's basically how they made their money. Most New England colonists were Puritans. Puritans wanted to make the English or Anglican church simpler and more pure. That makes sense, being called a Puritan, doesn't it? Religion was very important in their daily lives. So that's all about the New England colonies. Now they're going to mention the middle colonies. The middle colonies included New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. So let's write down those names. We're going to go to the middle colonies here. And again, they just listed them off. It's New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And they're in the middle on the map. If you look at the section of your map, they are in the middle. Okay. So let's continue reading. We left off here. The rich soil in this region allowed farmers to raise a variety of crops and cattle. Farmers sold pork, beef, wheat, and rye, a type of grain, to people in other colonies. The strong economy of the middle colonies attracted people from European countries, such as Germany and Ireland, as well as from England. These people also came from different religious groups. As a result, the middle colonies had a diverse population. So when you think of their economy, they're basically getting their money from this crops and cattle, all of this rich soil and farming region that they have. All right, so the southern colonies, that's this bottom part here. The southern colonies included Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So let's write those down for our southern colonies. I don't know if you can hear my son. I did tell him I was recording a video. I'm sorry if you can hear him. All right, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Okay, so let's finish reading about those. And again, if you didn't catch all that, just pause it and go back, or they're written right here, right? Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. This region's climate and geography favored cash crops. We talked about that last chapter as well, and the chapter before that. Cash crops are grown in large quantities for sale to other people. In the southern colonies, crops like tobacco and rice were grown on large farms called plantations. Plantations required many workers. Large landowners who came to the southern colonies from England depended on indentured servants and African slaves to plant and harvest their crops. And in chapter 8, we'll get into a lot more detail about this. Indentured servants, I don't know if you've heard that before, and it was one of your vocabulary words, but they're individuals who agreed to work for a period of time in exchange for free passage from Europe. So to be able to travel, that's how they got paid. Okay, so what I'd like to do next, we finished our reading, I'd like for us to color in our colonies. And we have a list of all of our colonies here on what's what. And here's what I'd like for you to do. You should have your blue, your orange, your red. We are going to color all of the New England colonies blue. So in this little box right here, I want you to color that in blue. Don't use a marker, okay? So that's why I said color pencil or crayon. If you use a marker, it's going to bleed through right onto all your vocabulary words that you've done on the other side. So New England's going to be blue. The middle colonies, I'm going to have you do red, so it'll match our map on page 68. And then we have our southern colonies are going to be in orange. Okay, so I'm going to switch my book off to the side here. So we can see all of the names of the states along here, and that will help you. I'm going to start at the top. New England is farther up here because I don't want it to get to color all over the side of my hand by coloring here and moving my way up. All right, so it says here that we're supposed to color Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. These are all supposed to be blue. So I'm going to put kind of a little X in the spots I want to to color in. So I know Massachusetts is pointing to this and this because the lines were a little bit different back then. And then Rhode Island, I see that is right here. I'm gonna put a little X on that. Connecticut, right here. Okay, and then New Hampshire is right here. So you can see this chunk that you want to color blue. So I'm just gonna kind of do this around it, and then I'll make it pretty later. I don't want you to have to waste all your time watching me color, but I do want to make sure you have the proper outlines done. So I'm gonna color around this for now, and then later on, I'll go ahead and finish coloring everything in blue. Okay, so this whole chunk is gonna be blue. Now for our middle colonies, we want red. And down here under our middle colonies, it says New York. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little X in New York in red. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, get this little piece in there as well, and Delaware, that little piece there. So this chunk needs to be red. So only this little piece for Delaware, and then here's our New Jersey, and then we're gonna have our outline here. Pennsylvania, New York, and later on I can go back and make sure that I color all that in. So at the end, you should go back and color all yours in too, but we don't need to stay in the video and watch each other color, right? Well, I can't really see you, but I can pretend. Okay, the last is the southern colonies. So basically we have what's left here, right? We have Maryland, which that was mentioned a couple times in our Black History Month calendar of where people came from. Virginia, North Carolina. Sorry, you can't see any of these. There's Maryland. Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So the whole rest of this, we're gonna color in orange, including this little piece here. So this whole other chunk. Don't worry about down there, just this chunk. So what I need you to do for the rest of the time is finish coloring all of this in. So this whole entire section is blue, this whole section's red, and this whole section is orange, and then you are all set. Thanks for watching.